afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, President of Corporate Audiovisual Services. Now, I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've been together, but it's the spring season, and the spring season is busy. There's lots of activity going on. But I am happy to say we have a fantastic guest today, and we're going to have a really good conversation. I think everybody's going to really benefit from it. But before we do that, let me just remind everybody how to find us. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Wednesday, or almost every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Listen, while you're on those channels, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching the show live, drop us a comment, be a part of the show. That's always fun. And it gives me fun little things to type up too at the same time. But if you don't get a chance to see the episode live, you can go back and look at any of the other 107 episodes on our YouTube channel. And of course, afterwards, we have some little short clips that we usually post on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Or as my friend Andrew Castellano would say, shark bites. I always like to give him credit. He's a good dude. But listen, let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to cover today and about today's guest, who is, I need a drum roll. I don't have a drum roll today, but Jeffrey Cobelli. So Jeffrey is a filmmaker based in the Hudson Valley, where he specializes in storytelling for nonprofits and businesses. Jeffrey runs a media production company named Good For You Productions, operating out of its studio in Peekskill, New York. With over 15 years of experience, Good For You Productions has established itself as a reputable entity, having worked with prominent organizations such as Citibank, West Point, Marshall and Sterling Insurance, Honeydew Men, as well as various nonprofits, including the Center for Prevention of Child Abuse, the Child Care Council of Westchester, and the ARC Westchester. Since its inception, the core mission of the company has been to bring purpose-driven visions to life through its filmmaking endeavors. This is really, really pretty cool. So please welcome my friend, Jeffrey Cobelli.
Hey, Joe.
Hey,
thanks
Jeffrey.
for having me.
You got pretty cool pictures, man. I swiped them from all over the place.
I got to be honest. I was like, who is he talking about right now? Because that does seem it's a dedication, it's a passion. So I'm glad that can be summarized in that way. That was really nice. Thank you for that.
Well, hey, you're the one who does all this stuff. I just read words. I mean, I'm surprised I can even do that sometimes. But hey, fun little fact. Do you know we're going to be showing one of your videos tonight?
And I wish we knew this earlier, but I think that's another cool. It is like really cool what you do. Everything that you're doing here, the company that you run, the fact that you can pull all this off on the same day, it's really impressive. So kudos to you.
Magic. It's just magic. Well, we're looking forward to showing the video. I've actually seen a sneak preview, and it's impressive stuff. It's really good work. This is for ARC Westchester tonight, and they're a fantastic group. I actually live next door to one of their houses and one of their properties, and they're great people all around. So nice group to work with.
I know we'll touch on this, Joe, and the ARC Westchester is just, they're an organization that I've just fallen in love with for the population that they serve, for the people that work there. It's such a fun, enjoyable, and easy time to tell a story of an organization like that, because it's special work and it's extremely authentic as well. Like, there's no fluff in what the ARC Westchester does. They support a population that was ignored just 75 years ago, sometimes 50 years ago. And we've made a lot of strides as a civilization, as Americans, to make sure that these people are taken care of. And I get goosebumps like thinking about this stuff, because that's what I set out to do. So to have stories like theirs to share it gives me purpose, which is what I strive for in life, to actually have some purpose each day.
I think that's really well said, and probably a good segue into how you first got into filmmaking, because it does certainly seem like your calling. So why don't you tell us what brought you here? What brought you to filmmaking?
And I just want to give you a quick story before the story.
Of course.
the other day, me and my wife were on looking for something to watch, and we were going through Netflix, and she goes, "Man, everything is just negative." It's all
Sounds about right.
programming, because it was, this you want to watch this series? It's about this girl who gets kidnapped. Do you want to watch this series? This is about
Mhm.
zombies and the apocalypse. Do you want to watch this series? This is about the mass murderer. And it reminded me. The reason why I bring that up is because when I started after I graduated college, which was in your backyard that I learned about this morning. If I knew that you were from Boston, I don't know if I would have came on this podcast. um, it's actually why I started out when I was working in TV and film after college. I was producing shows and making my own live programming called Celtics. Oh man, that's the first comment you wrote down. I thought we were gonna.
I mean, I thought I was going to be witty. So, continue your story, please.
I guess we can't completely love each other. We got to have a little rivalry here. No, so just everybody's heard about how competitive maybe the music industry is, or how slimy at times the movie industry is. And I guess I'm here to say that was true when I lived it firsthand. The hours that people would work, the stuff that we would make, the way celebrities would act on set. It just all felt gross to me. And I knew I was unhappy at the time, but I didn't know what to do with my life necessarily, right? Because this is what I went to school for. Now I'm in this world, and I guess I'll just figure it out, right?
Right.
I went on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic, and without going into the whole story with that, it just completely changed my life. And
Wow.
I felt super fortunate to grow up in America, in New York, to have an education, to have opportunity. And when I went into the Dominican Republic, and not that all the Dominican Republic is like this, but we went into the most impoverished parts. For example, we visited a town called Agua Negra, which means black water. And that's just because it was so polluted from a nearby factory that when it flooded in that town, the water rose up 4 feet into their houses, and it was just black.
Thanks.
So I basically had an epiphany, or, like you said, a calling. I came home and I formed a company, and I called it Good For You Productions. And I formed that company on May 1st, 2009. So I'm approaching my 15-year anniversary. And within months, I was hired to make a documentary called Someday Melissa, which is about a young girl who died of an eating disorder. And her mom hired me to tell that story to help out people with eating disorders or disordered eating. And it was like right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is the kind of stuff I want to make. Thank God I made Good For You Productions. Like, oh, people actually want this. They need this. It gives me purpose. I feel better about what I'm making. I'm doing good in the world. So that's how Good For You Productions came to be. We came from hell. And we're trying to shed some light, I guess. That's the shorter story, the better way to say it.
You saw things that you hope to never see, and it opened your eyes. I mean, that's a pretty big reason.
It was my own
experience.
My own story of like Dante's Inferno. Like I do like joke about that. You go into hell so that you can see like how bad it sucks, so you can come out of it and know like, okay, this is how I want it to be. So it was my own journey into finding again, like not to be too holy here, but that it really was the light for me. It was the light that went off in my head, and it was the light that I want to share and spread. And 15 years later, and I feel like I'm still doing it. So
that's great
in that way.
And the fact that you've made it, 15 years is also impressive by itself. You even have a fan. One Marissa Madonia says, amazing, purpose-driven material. It doesn't get better than that. That's pretty good. You have fans.
They say if you can reach just one.
Well, apparently you reached her.
That's awesome. Thank you, Marissa.
No, but that's that's really amazing. And look, I dropped the Jeffrey's website in there for anybody, so you can see it. Definitely go and check it out. I'm going to just pop the website up as well, so everybody gets a chance to see that. Here we go. Okay, you'll actually see different samples that Jeffrey's got up here. It's pretty amazing. You'll see the story, even see pictures of the studio. I know you got some pretty cool video clips. I saw the studio, and And it's really great. So anybody can check out the site, itsgoodforyou.com. All right. So I happen to notice that you have a lot of, like, because you have a lot of different groups, nonprofits and businesses, of course, too. But is that how you started to zoom in really on nonprofits and doing more with them?
I think that they are nonprofit employees, CEOs, whatever they are. They're really doing the work. Like, again, back to Arc Westchester in a way, but a lot of times nonprofits are doing the work that nobody else wants to do. They're filling a need because there's a void. Those people end up caring, like, truly about what they're doing, because nonprofits are underfunded, they're understaffed, they're doing a lot with a little, and that just allows whatever they're working on to be truly, like, there's no fluff. They're completely authentic. So I think I just gravitated towards that.
Mm-hmm.
In my first few years, it was more nonprofit documentaries, but then there was a housing crisis during that time of, like, when I first formed, like right after. So money was tight, and I needed to find a new way. So then I sort of steered my company into, I should work with businesses because they also need to tell stories too. And then that was more of our focus for a few years. More recently, I've just combined the two, meaning
That makes sense.
Businesses needed commercials, nonprofits needed stories, but why not just make commercial videos that are story driven? Because in essence, that's what everybody's buying anyway, or they're buying a feeling, or they're buying a story. I always reference Coca-Cola, whose tagline, and maybe they've changed it recently, but it's been taste the feeling. They don't say taste our Coke or taste the sugar, or it's taste the feeling. So it's about how it makes you feel. So even in their marketing, it's working that way. So whether you're a nonprofit, a brand, a business, you have a story to tell. It's part of your branding, and it's what gets people engaged with you. It gets them to take action, or it gets them to buy.
Hey, that's well said. I think that gets missed sometimes. When you just watch those Super Bowl ads, I mean, 90% of the people have no idea what the ad was for anyways, right? So is it making them feel anything? They don't even know what it is.
Right.
But are they connecting the dots? I think that's pretty interesting. So you have a whole bunch of fans apparently, and this is confusing me because it's added another level of workload for me. Okay, here's a guy I know. This is definitely an inspiration. Eddie Morrell. We call him Fast Eddie Morrell. But I see an Angela Simonello here. Apparently you guys are having discussions. So she's watching, and she even said hello to me. So that's a good thing.
You have fans too. Look at that.
But here's an interesting fan. Maybe you know this person. I don't want to mispronounce her first name though.
Morella. That is my Aunt Morella. Somebody who I love dearly. Just a supporter. I think when you go through, whether you start a business or whatever you're doing, whatever endeavor, you need people who support you, who love you. I think everybody needs that. And Aunt Morella is one of my biggest supporters. So I dearly love her for that and more.
Well, she's watching. She's very proud of you. So thank you, Aunt Morella. I mean, but that's what you're doing, is your work inspires people. And I think that's the important piece. And that's what we're trying to get out of today. Like I was telling you, we're playing one of your videos tonight. So we play hundreds and hundreds of videos throughout the year. We have some, we may have 10 in a night. Tonight we have 2. We play hundreds and hundreds of videos, and there is a huge discrepancy in quality. And I'm not saying anything good or bad. I'm just saying when you see them all, you see giant differences. So I tend to think that it might be helpful to our audience to get a sense of maybe the right questions to ask a video production company when they're looking to create a video. Like they're in the beginning, right? And I want to find out, hey, Jeffrey, how can you help us? Or how can anybody help us? But I probably haven't, I got to start before that, I would imagine. So maybe some thoughts on those beginning steps would be helpful.
I get excited when, and this may take us a while, but I get excited when somebody has an idea and they just want to talk about it. So that's always a great first step. Whatever idea you're getting excited about, I believe that you should move forward on that. There's a reason, like we're talking about inspiration, and I hope that I inspire anybody, even if they're looking to get into the field or they want to make a video. I think inspiration is first. Enthusiasm is also important. But just, before we get into details and make it more complicated than it needs to be, the best thing somebody could do if they see a video and they want something like that is just to share that with me and to ask me, can you make that? Another great thing that people can do is just, this is the biggest thing. I work with nonprofits, but I am a for-profit. So this company does need to make money. That shouldn't be a secret to anybody. What I love is when somebody actually comes in with a budget. And I know it may be hard. Well, what does this cost? Anything that we do in life, we do some research on it, or we know what we can and can't spend when we buy a house, when we buy a car. And these are like great analogies for people to understand when talking to a production company. A lot of the times, unless it's and I hate to use the word cookie cutter operation, but if there's a menu, yeah, there may be cost and things with it. And that can apply to some areas. But if you just say, hey, I want to make a commercial for my business, how much does it cost? I am going to have plenty of questions. But if you walk in and say, I have this much money to make this, what can you do for me? That is a much better place to start. I think the fear that I have is, and you always want to be mindful of what you spend, but the idea of like racing to the bottom and just getting the best price, eventually you go below a line that you can maintain a production quality that's high. So if you say my budget is $200 and I want to make a commercial, I'm being extreme on purpose, but there's not a lot to do with that unless somebody's doing you a favor, which can happen. And I think that's why we see so much discrepancy. There's been so many good and bad things in our industry. The invention of YouTube, I was in college at the time, back again in your backyard, Joe, and I was going to Boston rooting against the Red Sox quietly.
Well, very right here.
That was actually when I was there. That picture, I think I'm in the background there crying.
Hold on, I'm going to go up top here. Let's just remind everybody quickly, if we have a chance. This is 2004, right there. 2004. We just celebrated 20 years yesterday on opening day. But I digress. Let's continue.
No, that was I was working at a restaurant at that time, and everybody was asking me if I was a baseball fan. And I was like, "What is baseball?" I had to pretend like I didn't even know what was going on. And I play baseball, so that was really hard for me.
Well, I did notice a certain cap in this picture, but I disregarded it because it seemed like you were doing good things at the time. So
so that picture, when you showed that in the opening, so that young boy right there, his name is Edu. That is one of the best photos I've ever had, because that was, I'm sorry to just can we do this sidebar real quick, Joe? Do you mind?
Of course we can. It's your show.
This,
I mean, Aunt Marilla's watching. Let's go.
this boy, it was my second time at this orphanage. I went to Kenya. This was an orphanage in Kenya. We visit in Kimana, Kenya. And I went there in 2015 and 2017. And the first time I went there, I filmed him and he was there. Then the second time, he ran up to me and started touching me like this. But what's special about Edu is that he was at this orphanage where they had 40 kids. Edu is not in the orphanage. He lived up the street. And he just came there. He's like this little ball of energy. He makes everybody laugh. He's obviously very personable, and he likes to touch. He would just go down there to cheer up the kids. So he has a mom and dad right down the street, and he would come and stay at the orphanage basically every day. And those were his friends. So the 30 to 40 kids that lived there. And that was just, I just love that. He just, again, like,
pretty amazing. The
reason why I do what I do is, of course, for me, it's not all altruistic. I get to have these benefits. I get to go and travel the world at times. I get to see these and witness these powerful stories. Like this kid, Edu, I was like, every day he goes there just to hang out with them, just to cheer them up. Like that's what he wakes up thinking about. Like he's a little boy. That's special to me.
That's really amazing.
So I just wanted to just touch on that real quick. So I think we were talking about budgets, right?
Well,
Or
we're talking
cost,
about
or
ideas and thoughts and how people get started. And you said start with an idea, but you also have to have a budget to go with the idea, some direction, right?
and I work with anybody, and I have creative solutions to work with anybody, almost no matter what their budget is, but at least, come to a starting point with that. So that's what I was alluding to before. Whenever we buy a house or a
Yeah.
car, we do some research. We go to a broker, we give them an idea of what we can spend. We show them pictures of other houses. You can do the same thing talking to anybody about videos. Look at this video. I really like the way they shot this. You can ask us, what kind of cameras do you shoot on? I mean, I think that's even smart. So again, if you see something, you can share that with us and say, I love this look, or I love this style of editing. I feel fortunate in the sense that I have the type of brain that can pre-visualize. So I don't need to go hunting for a style. Sometimes it comes to me because I like to think of myself as an artist. And if I get inspired by a style, I'll bring that to my client. Some folks don't pre-visualize. But once they see something, that's the inspiration. So just share that with us and we can make it. I think the best questions to ask is how much, how long. So if you don't have a budget, you have an idea and you talk about it as much as you can. How much, how long are great starting points. Like, how long will this take? What do I need to do? This is not like a contractor coming into your house where you want a new wall and they throw it up and they can do it with or without you. In what we do, it almost requires collaboration. You have to be a producer and a director alongside of me, especially if I'm making a video about you, about your brand, about your company. Whether you're marketing, it's like marketing people know this and they're going to want to be involved. But, post COVID, so many people have opened up their own businesses and they want to brand themselves. And maybe they don't always know how to do it. Let's work together. Let's go and watch other videos together. Let's do research together. Let's have a discovery call together. Let's figure this out. It is a process. It will take some time. But with the right direction, this is what's exciting about the world of YouTube, is that anybody can make videos. But anybody can make a good video and anybody can make a bad video. So like anything else, you just want to be coached, guided, and directed in the right way so that you can maximize your reach and your awareness.
I think those are good tips. I mean, that makes sense. We've had a chance to work with different people and kind of see how they go about it. And I think each person's got their own take on what discovery is, what they're looking for, and what direction they're trying to go. But, I think that still the client doesn't necessarily know what direction they want to go sometimes. I think they have a lot of ideas and it's trying to kind of focus it sometimes. And do you ever have that experience?
All the time. And I think I understand that I have a company that makes videos, but any business, I think, solves a problem. So I always want to know, if they're totally lost, what problem are you trying to solve with video? So if you're trying to raise money, okay, you have a fundraising problem. I'm not getting enough traffic into my coffee shop. Okay, we can use video for that. But what is the goal that we're trying to reach, or what is the problem that we're trying to solve, is definitely a way that will guide the answers or guide the questions. And then it's also like, because I'm going to have questions like, well, where do you want to put this? Do you want this on broadcast television? Are you going to show this at an event? Is this for website content? Are you trying to do this organically with social media, or do you want to do boosted videos? I mean, are you making a digital course? People are making so many different types of videos now and using it. You should have questions, and I should have questions. And that is the discovery. Like, this is an interview process, like a two-way street, because you need to know that I am the right person for you, because maybe I'm not. I'm a storyteller, right? So you want me to tell your story highly effectively, emotional twist, perhaps on it, but maybe I'm not the right fit for something else. So I think, you know, it's normal for us to be bidding against other production companies. It's normal for anybody that we're about to work with to be shopping around. I guess I always caution the worst thing to do is just to buy the lowest price, because I do think people pay for that.
You know, there's a gentleman here that has always said for many years it's a bad business to get a really good deal in, you know, because we're all live all the time. Like, you know, I mean, in the blink of an eye, something can go wrong. So it's not really about the lowest price. It's about, you know, you're qualified to do the work. Are you a good fit for the client? I totally understand what you're saying, because even if you could produce the work in a great way, maybe you're not a fit. And sometimes it's better than not to do that work together. I think is a nice way to say it.
Well, and again, it's just everything, you know, the equipment, even though it's more accessible, everything that we do has a cost, you know. And I think about one of my, I can say their name, but Honeydew Men, you know, one of the things they talk about is contractors and bidding against other contractors. And they have the same thing. People just want the lowest price. But it's like, okay, that the lowest price that you got, is that contractor insured? Because that's a huge thing. I don't think people think about that in our profession. Do they have insurance? They're going to walk into my building, my house, with all this gear, scratch up floors, break lights, maybe. You know, there's some things that can happen here. Are they going to show up on time? Are they going to be reachable the next day or when I need them to? There's so many things that go into this. Yeah. And yes, if you're just trying to fill in something, you know, get the lowest price. You know, if you're just trying to check a box, if it's not that important to you, if you're just trying to document something, there's so many different ways to go about it. I guess I want to make sure, like, people can always come to me and ask me the questions and not use me. I'd rather them get the right answers and do the right thing and not use me than just assume they know what they're doing and be disappointed when it's all over. And they're like, oh, so that's what it means when I spend $200.
Well, I think that's probably the artist in you that wants them to appreciate the work at the end. You know, like you're not doing it. Yes, okay, there's financial gain that goes with it, but you want to be invested in it emotionally, and you're trying to do your best work, and you want them to enjoy it and be, you know, receive the benefits of that labor. So,
and I'm completely transparent, cool, Joe, and I'll tell clients like I'll tell them, remember, I'm an artist, so I'm insecure. So sometimes we'll make a video and then they'll just say, hey, can you change this, this, and that? And my response is, do you like it? I'll change whatever you want, but you just tell me if you like it or hate it first. No, you got to have fun with the process. There's a lot of hard decisions that are being made. It can be stressful at times, but you know, anything worth it is going to take some work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to go off in a slightly different direction because this is a technology kind of centered show. I want to talk a little bit about some of the technology. Now, I'm sure you've seen different things change over the last few years, but I know that all that anyone ever hears about right now is AI. So I guess my question is, how does AI enter your filmmaking world, and how does it affect you? How does it affect your clients? Because I think it's a big world out there with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for everybody, just as a blanket statement about AI, is that you can't avoid it. You know, it's one of those things where if you don't incorporate it into your life, into your business, I think you will fall behind. I also think you have to have caution in how much you use it and what you're using it for. So there are so many, in the video world, there are so many things going on with it. But for me, where I get to help out a client in our process, like where it's getting implemented today, is because I do a lot of interview based projects because it's storytelling. So it's a lot of question and answering. So I recently had a project where I did 6 hours of interviews. You know, it was like 17 people, 6 hours. Wow. So AI now is just transcribing all of that for me behind the scenes, where I used to have to outsource that, pay somebody, or me, I have to sit and listen to it word for word, or I had to use Siri on like 30-second intervals and, and try to like figure it out. Now the program is just doing it, and it's naming the person who's speaking. So it's making my life easier in terms of efficiency. And I think that allows me to better serve a client. I think that allows me to do more for a client for the same price, not necessarily be cheaper, but I think I can just bring more value to each project. So that's like one of the smaller ways that it's helping us out right now. I have tested the waters of saying to AI, make me a video and do this. And while maybe today it's not the perfect fit for folks, it may be in a few years. Right now, you can just tell that it's not real, or it's augmented, or there's imperfections. And there may be certain clients that I need to use it for, or who will want to use it, because maybe it's a cost thing, maybe it's an access thing. Because, you know, right now in Photoshop, you can say, take me back to 2004 when the Yankees don't blow a 3-0 lead and show me a picture of the Yankees winning. And AI will just make you a photo of that happening. It can't do that with video yet, but it will. And that'll be down the road. But for what I do, since my stuff is that, see, I can recreate that, and then that never happened, Joe.
Damn this AI.
I deal in so much. So like I said, like I want to use it when it works. I'm just not going to run into it and just use it for everybody, because for what I do, I am in the world of human storytelling, of real, genuine, authentic people. I don't know if AI can ever replace that, because then we're not talking about the heart and soul or the essence of that thing. So I'm not saying I'm resistant. I just know for me, this is where I'm at. I want to deal with people. I want to show true emotion. But the day that AI can do my interviews and edit a video and figure out the nuance of people's inflection of their voice and of how they're saying stuff and string along a story, then that'll be the day that I start using it, I guess. But until that happens, I'm still good where I'm at. I just use it to, ancillary benefits to the process for me and the client.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think there's just so much talk about it right now that it's kind of out there. And, then you have fake photos and you have all sorts of weird things going on at the same time. So I think it's just something people have to be aware of and try to figure out how to use it as a tool. But I do think what you said about you're going to need to incorporate it into your world is really well said. It's just how how it's going to be an efficient tool for you. I mean, we've used it in some different capacities, but it's really back end kind of laborious work stuff. Like, it's nothing that is on the front of interacting, which I get the sense is exactly how, you've used it so far too.
Well, and I think, we also have to remind ourselves that we've been using AI for 10, 15, 20 years, even longer than that, whether you realize it or not. So whether it's in your phone or even it's just the GPS in your car. I mean, that is a form of artificial intelligence. So even this is a great analogy, right? So GPS, it is technically AI. You've used it. But if it told you to make, and this is an episode from The Office, if there's any episode fans, but Steve Carell is listening to GPS and it tells him to make a right, and there's just a lake there, and he drives into the lake. So obviously, that's what I mean about being cautious. Use AI. But if it tells you to drive into the lake, like, you still have to use your human brain and decide, okay, this is working for me. This is not right. Just a quick sidebar about AI. I am really good at writing bodies of emails to people. Like, I can write out an email. Like, if I was writing an email to you, I would articulate something really well, and I would do that in a matter of minutes. And then I would stare at the subject line for like a half an hour. And I'd be like, what is my subject? It's like a title for if you're writing a news story, and then it was a title. So now I'll just throw my body of my email into Chat GPT and I'll say, write me a subject line for this. And if I don't like it, do it again. And that's what I'm leaning on AI for right now. There's moments of my day where maybe I'm wasting time or I'm not efficient. And I don't need to think about a subject line for 30 minutes. It's not that serious. AI, what do I need to write? Thank you, send. And now I'm done. So just even, there's ways, whether it's for the actual video side of it, or if it's just in my day-to-day process of life, that I do think we need to allow AI into our lives a little bit. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, the example of GPS, perfect. I tell my son and daughter about how I used to be like a traveling salesperson. I had a map book for literally every state in New England. I was like a Jedi master, like how to read these maps and where to go. The funny part is I have no sense of direction whatsoever.
Same.
I don't know where north, south. I have no idea. Moss on trees. I don't know anything about that. But Boy Scout, I'm not. But GPS, everybody knows everything, right? So it's like, until you get there and there's a road closed. Now what? That's like, so it's a good analogy. It's a good.
I remember driving around with an atlas and I guess an atlas with a map, and printing out directions off of MapQuest before they had an actual thing that told you what to do. Yeah. You just printed it out, and it was sometimes 15 pages. Yeah. Just go from there.
You're trying to read it while you're driving. That's not dangerous at all. But well, listen, besides the technology side, we discussed a little bit, and of course we discussed why you got into filmmaking, but there's probably other things you like to do besides filmmaking. Because if I go by your fan club here, I hear that Wendy has said apparently you're good at other stuff too. Baseball team manager. I mean, Wendy's on your side. I think you have a real ally here. But why don't you tell us, a little bit about the things you like to do outside of Good For You Productions and filmmaking?
Well, they always say that you should listen to your wife. So Wendy is my wife. So I'm gonna take her lead on. I'm gonna take her lead on that. These are things that I always. It's all that means anything to me, Joe. Going home to my family. So we have 3 kids, and a dog, the little fur baby who, thank God she's so cute because she is really annoying and attached to me. Everything that I do is so that I can go home safe and sound and enjoy quality time with family, because that's really what everything is all about. So yes, I'm a family man. I'm a husband. On Sundays, you cannot get in touch with me because on Sunday mornings, I'm either in church. And if I'm not in church, it means it's baseball season for me personally. So it means I am coaching and playing at Walter Panis High School every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. I'm sure people have plenty of things to do, but if you want to come and check me and play there. So I love the sport. Baseball is a game of failures, so it's a nice reminder to stay humble and that you're going to get rejected or you're going to fail, but you just need to succeed just a small amount of time to make a difference. And baseball is just a humble reminder of that, for sure.
I never thought of baseball like that. That's
yeah.
true. I mean, that's a really, because if you go to the old, you could fail 70% of the time and you're in the Hall of Fame kind of thought process, then that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you an unrelated thing about baseball then.
Mm-hmm.
It's so slow for today's environment. What do you think? I know they speed up. Obviously, there's a time limit on the pitch count now, but I mean, it's still hours. It's hours. It's a full commitment,
I have a complaint about the length of games until the Yankees and Red Sox play each other. Those games were like 4 hours long, and I didn't have.
Those are far too long. Just far too long.
The average time of games, I think they said, has gone down about 20 minutes since the shot clock or the pitch clock. So that definitely has helped. I think what's nice is they changed the baseballs around a little better. So even though the games may not be super short, at least there's a lot more action. There's a lot more runs, a lot more home runs. That's all intentional. They changed the baseball, so that's good. The downside is more pitchers getting injured because they're just trying to throw as hard as they can. So the goal isn't to pitch for 7 innings. It's just to pitch for 1 and don't let up any hits. And you've done your job. As if you just strike out everybody, that's what you're supposed to do. So I think what's actually the thing for me is not the length of games, but what's happening to kids in baseball. So what's happening at the big league level trickles down. So you're seeing a lot of kids striking out a lot, trying to hit home runs because they're modeling big league behavior. So the game of baseball is changing a little bit. I hope that they change it back so that it's more about the fundamentals and just not trying to just go 100, because this is life, right? You can overwhelm your body, you can overwhelm your mind, your soul. Like, you need to do everything in moderation. Baseball is such a great analogy for anything in life. I'm telling you, Joe, it's right there for the picking. I'm sure other sports you can do it too, but baseball is, my second or third passion. I really love the sport for what it can show you in life.
It's very cool. Very cool. And I think baseball's been part of our society for a long, long time. And it's interesting. I never really thought of it as from lessons, like learning lessons, because I think once I got to a point where I couldn't hit anything anymore, I think I just,
you learned the lesson.
I mean, I learned the lesson very quickly. When you cannot, you learn that your skills are limited in a certain capacity and that you then have to find new skills. So it was a very good life lesson, I guess. But
yeah,
this has really been great, Jeffrey. I appreciate all your time today and kind of learning your thought process on how you go about helping people. And, I think you gave them a lot of really good ideas. And I think it always starts like right back to what problem are you trying to solve? And I think that's well said, because people get confused a lot. Joe, I hear it on the event side a lot, but I mean, a video it's got to be condensed. Like that's, you're trying to get that emotion in a short period of time. And even in a movie, I mean, it's still only 2 hours, right? Like you're still condensing that idea and that emotion into a short period of time. So I think that's a great place to start.
Just another quick example of solving a problem, because I did this for a very successful business owner who was like, I make plenty of money. I don't even need video. And I'm like, but you train sales guys, right? And you go through sales guys. And I'm like, aren't you tired of explaining the same thing to new sales and training? And he's like, well, what would you do? I'm like, what if you made a sales training video so that way you don't even have to be there? You just make it that one time, and it's a 6-hour course. And they watch your video, they learn the ins and outs, and then they take a quiz after. And now you just send them a link and they go watch a video or a course. And now you're not taking time out of your day because you're a very busy, successful man. So I want to, like, solving a problem is also in his day, but also like, why not free up your time? You're successful. Why are you still in the weeds of doing this training? You should grow in your life. So that's what I mean. There's really no limit to where a video can solve your problem.
That's a great ending point. There's no limit to how video can solve your problem.
Sounds like a lot of promises, but I'll be happy to try to keep them.
Well, so far, I mean, listen, you have a real fan club, so I mean, you must be doing something right. I mean, I'm going to have Wendy chime in later and Aunt Morella, but but I mean, they make you sound like a pretty good guy. I'm sure, even Marissa thinks so. So you fooled them all. That's what I think. Now, obviously, I'm joking around. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for all your time today and for the work you're doing at Good For You Productions, because I've seen the quality of your videos. They're excellent stories, and they're helping all of the groups very much that actually need the help in trying to communicate their message. Because they are doing, as you said, I think the dirty work of our society. They're in it. They're helping people that need help, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So you have an impact, man.
Well, thank you,
good
Joe.
thing.
Thank you.
Well, on that note, I'm booting your ass out of my show. So, Jeffrey, thank you very much. We're going to see that video later on tonight. Arc Westchester will be at Glen Island tonight. So anybody who still can buy a ticket, you should buy a ticket right now and help support them. There's going to be lots of restaurants and really good food. And I know it's going to be a great event all around, especially because of one video showing around 8 o'clock tonight. So, all right, Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining us today.
Joe, thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Well, hopefully everybody got to learn a lot. I mean, he had some tremendous tips today on I think, where to get started. I think that's a good point, because then that would give the tools to the video producer, the director, such as Jeffrey, kind of the tools they need to help you tell that story. And I think that's really important. So listen, thank you, everyone. Everybody, make sure I put the link in the comments, as well as, of course, on the banner here, but it's in the comments so everybody can see that. It'll be there on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Go to Good For You Productions, and Jeffrey's your guy. He'll help you with video. But listen, we're going to wrap this show up today. So let me just remind everybody, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Wednesday, 1 p.m. While you're there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Or like my friend Marissa Madonia said, you got to smash the subscribe button. I'm too old to say that, so I have to get somebody younger to say that. But drop us a comment. We always appreciate all the comments. Thank you to everybody who was part of the show today. Aunt Morella, thank you very much. You had a lot of really good contribution. And obviously Wendy is very proud of Jeffrey, and Fast Eddie Morell was on today's show. We always appreciate Fast Ed. So that's how we're going to wrap up today. Just want to say thank you, everyone. Everybody have a great week. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.